I have no idea how this all works, but it says it's recording. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to have a look at the second part of this session. Last week we talked about matching patter calls to singing calls. And within that, there we go. We talked about matching the music to the singing calls, creating the themes, and so we're just going to carry on from that. It'll be a much shorter presentation, and then I'm hoping to have it open for an open discussion, and those of you that feel comfortable enough to actually have a look at the singing call figure, we'll figure out how to make a worksheet, look at some choreography. Thank you to everybody that's been sending in choreography and sending in worksheets. I've got them collated, and I'll make those available to everybody as well. So at this point, what's happened is we've reviewed the music from last week, and we've chosen a singing call. And we've gone through our patter music, and we found a piece of patter music that is a complementary piece of music that either contrasts, so it'll be a live and bubbly one for a ballad type singing call or vice versa, or it's linked with a theme like Neon Moon with Moonstruck as the patter. At this point, you will have a singing call in mind, and most people think, yeah, I'm ready to go, right? Well, the answer is simply wrong. If you do that and you get a singing call record, and then you look at it and you practice your singing call record and you pull out a patter record and say, yeah, I'll use that one and use my singing call figure, you're not ready to call. What you are ready to do is give the dancers an ordinary and unstructured delivery of the patter, and hoping that you can bury that mediocrity of patter delivery with a good singing call. You've got to remember, the purpose of the music is to provide the rhythm and the melody to make it possible for the dancers to dance and the callers to call. And that's what it's all about. So why not deliver an above average package on both the patter call, the choreography, and the singing call delivery that ties it all together and makes the dancers feel like they've achieved something that's well worth achieving. And you can do this by being focused not only on your music, but on your choreography as well. Okay, so let's just say you're calling a tip or a bracket, and you've looked at your chosen singing call figure, and you see it's got movements like the one we're using here is pass to the center and pass the ocean in a singing call figure. Right off the top, you've got a good theme to play with, and that's the pass to or the pass the. So what you want to do is you want to use movements that complement that in your patter. Pass the ocean and pass to the center are the two movements. And those two movements are then going to tie the music from the singing call and the choreography from the singing call into the patter by using it as a focus movement or a focus couple of movements in both the singing call and the patter music. One thing I would like to note is if you have multiple focus things, or if you have a choreographic theme or a sequence, keep it down to one. If you have multiple things like that, it usually means you want to be relatively constrained in the movements and only use a couple of variations if you're going to do that. So now you've prepared or you've copied your singing call figure. You've created a second singing call figure that uses a little bit of innovation. You remember, different, not difficult. Oh, here's Mark. We've got people in the waiting room. Different, not difficult. You don't have to use it, the second singing call, but if the dancers get your patter really well, you might want to use that one that has that little standard application variation or a little bit of the extended application because it was working well in the patter. But I give you this caution, until you're comfortable with that idea, especially as a new caller, you may only want to use one routine in a singing call. Repeat that singing call figure 4 times. Let the dancers win. Remember, we call it the prime directive, taking the Star Trek theme, but the dancers come first and must always succeed in both the patter and the singing call. So when you're preparing your choreography, there's a few little guidelines to remember. The first one is no long sequences. If you were in the session with John Marshall today, there are a number of callers that can read their choreography. But most of them that are reading callers, they read modules and they string collections of modules together. They're not actually reading this long list of choreography anymore. They're not reading a book, they're not reading a poem. It's a sequence of modules that they'll get corner box to corner box to partner line to resolve. And that's what they'll read, is those things. And they'll just bounce all over their sheets. It's possible to have a string of 200 movements, but if you did that, you're going to get lost partway down the list. Or if a dancer hiccups or coughs on the floor and you look up, you suddenly lost your place. Your memory could slip. It's better just to avoid that entirely. What you need to know for a bracket or a tip is 1 or 2 zero type modules that will highlight your focus movement. And because they're modules, they become tools in your toolbox. You developed them, or you found them and you've checked them. You know how they work. When you're calling and using those, you can relax. You can take a breath and you can refocus on when you sight call movements, or you're using isolated sight or crossovers or mental image. You can plug that module in because you know if I start in a box, it's going to end up in that same box. If I start in a line, it's going to end up in that same line. It gives you a chance to relax because you've got it prepared and you practiced. So we'll come to this a little bit later, but the singing call that I'm going to be using for the start of this is one that was just pulled off a record. It goes heads past the ocean, or sorry, heads promenade halfway, heads past the ocean, centers step through, right and left through, past the ocean, recycle, and sweep a quarter more, pass to the center, centers square through 3, swing your corner and promenade. So it's got both a past the ocean, a second past the ocean, and a pass to the center in it. Wow, I mean, we've got this massive, massive theme going here. So as it turns out, if I'm going to use something like that, I've only got 2 basic fix points. After the heads promenade half, down the middle past the ocean and step through, I'm in a corner box. And then after, right at the end, center square through 3 to swing the corner, I'm back in a corner box. So I've only got the 2 points to work with. So what I need to do now is I need to create my modules. And if you remember from the session last week, I used the term fix point. A fix point is a corner box or a partner line because the square is fixed. You can call an Alaman left from there, or you can call a swing your corner, or you can call a, whatever, a turn around, swing your partner, or you'll be at home. It's a resolution position that you don't have to do anything with. So it's a fixed point. Once you have that, that's where you develop your modules from to start with. You can get other formations and arrangements and sequences and etc. once you've gained experience. But keep on the corner box and partner line start. So you want 2 corner box to corner box modules, 2 partner line to partner line modules, 1 corner box to partner line conversion, 1 partner line to corner box conversion, 1 corner box resolution, 1 partner line resolution. I say do all of these. Write out all these modules, create them. You make them, you create them, you find the modules that work and they're themed to your focus. You also make sure that your pattern modules tie into the theme of the singing call. There's no point doing a centers half sashayed circle through a line in your pattern if you're not going to use that in the singing call and reward the dancers by, hey, you succeeded at this, now I'm not going to take it all away from you. What you've got to remember is it's the similarities in the singing call that tie the patter call together, and that's what matters because the dancers always have to come first. Okay, so remember that this is a process of selection. This is all from last week. A selection, adaptation, presentation, and it's all focused around a theme. So that little treble clef there, that's going to be my theme movement. And you notice the caller, no matter which way I go into lines, boxes, left, right, all the directions I go, all have that theme tied in there. And then there's a couple of little variations in here where it may not use that theme, but that's just a little quick something or other. That could be a circle movement. That could be a circle left, girls make a right hand start, whatever you want. Okay, how these things complement each other, how you deliver your patter, how you deliver your singing calls, how you collate and adapt and make sure that the singing call choreography and the patter call choreography work together is what's going to give the dancers an insight to both you and the music and the success and get to know you and how your mind works as a caller. And once you can build that rapport and relationship with the dancers are going to trust you. And when you do something a little bit different, the dancers have got that trust in you. They're going to grab it. They're going to go with it. And they're saying, that person knows what they're doing. I'm going to trust them to get me through this. So once you've got that, and as it says there, each step is as important as the songs that you're going to do. So each step of this choreographic work is as important as the songs. It gets the dancers to know you. and they're going to be up there being you, your representation on the floor, but you're their representation of them. They're not going to get bored with your music. You will. So the next thing you need to do is make yourself your reference sheet. Now, I say always make a reference sheet. You may or may not use it. If you're a sight call or a mental image, you may not use it. But it's like if you're going to call, you have a call analysis sheet so that you know what those calls do, where it starts, where it finishes, how many beats it takes, what hand is it. Make yourself a module reference sheet if you're going to use modules. You don't have to use it, but what you do, it gives you a keen focus on the movement and the choreography that you're planning to use for that patter record and for that singing call record. So what you've got to do now is make that reference sheet. And it should have, first off, let's say what it should not have. It should not have all, a big, massive, long list of modules that you can just pick and choose from. It should have all your listed modules only for that particular tip, only with that focus movement or bracket on it. Okay, so you have your 2 singing calls, your corner box to corner box, your partner line to partner line, your conversions, and your resolutions. That's it. It's focused on that movement. It needs to identify that focus movement. It also has to be made in a way that you're comfortable with the layout. So you can set it down on the table, or you can have it up on your computer screen, and you can stand away from it and call to your dancers and say, I'm calling to you, yeah, and just a quick, yep, oh yeah, okay, that's that. A refresh at a glance, but my focus is on the dancers. I've practiced, I don't have to read it, but if I do need to refresh myself, I can glance, and because it's practice, it's going to re-establish it in my head. In order to do that, it has to be large enough for you to read it at a distance. There's a big caution. If you use shorthand, you've got to be consistent. I'm going to call a dance with Brian Hotchkiss maybe next year. And Brian's going to give a theme, and he's going to say, we're going to be playing with, I don't know, boy-girl star, or, boy, girl, circle lefts and making stars and things. And he's got choreography. And he's got ST. And he says, girls ST. Okay. Now, for me, is that girls star through? Is that girls square through? Is that girls make a right-hand star? Is that girls swing through? I don't know. Because I don't know Brian's shorthand. He doesn't know my shorthand. I prefer to write it all out. But if you are going to use your own shorthand, be consistent always. Be consistent in your layout. Be consistent with your shorthand. Warning, maximum of 2 movements to use as a focus. Ideally 1, but sometimes you need 2. If you're going to use a sequence, such as Dixie style to an ocean wave, boys start, swing through, chain down the line, that's a sequence. That sequence is your focus. That's going to be it for your focus. Okay? And if you're using variant choreography or really extended applications, 1 focus. Also, dance all your modules and check for body flow. And that's for the boys and the girls. And that's from the heads and the sides position, because it does make a difference. So if you see this little diagram over here, it says plan, do, check, act. Okay, it's a great little sequence. Plan your music, plan your choreography. Do the background work and practice it. Check it all out to make sure everything works. Practice it, practice it, practice it. Practice your singing call, practice your patter, practice your modules, practice putting them together, mixing and matching. Do it all, and then when it's done, practice the whole thing as a tip, put it away for a bit, get out and practice it some more. Because you're going to continuously improve to deliver your product. And once you're ready to do your product delivery, you're going to have a smooth and well-prepared delivery on your product. So very quickly, what we're going to look at is a sample reference. This is just a sample reference sheet. Thank you for sending this in. Okay, so this one has past the ocean and pass to the center. That's the reference sheet that we have. So caller sent this in, made 2 singing calls. One's pretty straightforward. This is the singing call figure I talked about. But there's also a second one. Oh, a past the ocean with a half sashayed boys in the center. Great. Spin the top, followed by another pass to the center from ocean waves. Ooh, okay, that's a bit tricky. then a center swing through, cast off 3/4, and reaching out for the corner. From a quarter tag, centers cast off 3/4 and reach for the quarter. That's a bit iffy, but if the dancers get it, great. So one of the things I noticed on this, I don't have this combination anywhere in my patter call modules. I've got a nice little corner box module. I've got another little corner box module with pass to the center. And then I've got a conversion to a partner line using pass the ocean. Okay, so that's keeping with my theme. I've got a partner line to partner line, pass the ocean. Partner line to partner line with both. Partner line to a corner box with both. Okay, it meets that theme. I've got the centers doing something here. Oh, I've got the center 6 doing a same-sex trade. Okay, that's a bit different, but I can get through that. I may want to use that. I may not want to use that. And then I've got 2 resolutions. Now, this was done by a caller that's very comfortable calling, can refresh at a glance, can use this type of material. The only thing I would say as a newer caller, you may want to cut this back. As a newer caller, you want to keep your modules short and to the point. Anything more than 12 movements is too long for a module. As a newer caller, anything more than 8 to 10 movements is too long for a sequence module to refresh at a glance. Okay, so try and keep them as short as you can. But this actually meets all the criteria. The only concern I would have is this. But if you look here, pass the ocean, cast off 3/4, centers trade. They've got pass the ocean, centers swing through, and the same cast off 3/4. Okay, so I will have to use this to make sure that this works. Everything in that worksheet shows what you can do on the floor and will tie in, so that I would have no problem if the dancers are dancing good using that figure. If the dancers are having a little bit of trouble or they just want nice and gentle, I'll go back to the nice, simple, easy figure. And that's the way most of those things work. Are there any questions? Comments, queries, points?
Well, I can make a comment, Mel. I always like to keep track of what the dancers are doing and body flow. And I think it's important to understand not only the body flow in the figure that you're doing, but also the previous figure, to make sure that whatever it is you're going to call next is going to be good. And one of the things that I've stopped doing, or tried to stop doing to a large degree, is to start a figure with a heads or sides promenade halfway, because there are many alternatives to doing this. And if you look at what the dancers have done previously, they have probably just finished promenading all the way around the square after having swung the corner. They get back home and now you're saying head couples promenade halfway again. So they're actually promenading once and a half. So why not have an alternative, like swing your corner and promenade home, and then head couples right and left through, instead of head couples promenade halfway.
Yep. There's a lot of that. We actually covered that in one of the other sessions that we had earlier, talking about the redundancy of a lot of movements that are there, and the promenade is one of those. It came out from a festival that was done here. There was an hour session with a caller, and within that session, everything was every singing call figure started with a promenade. He had promenades in his patter call, and everything ended with a full promenade. Every figure ended with a full promenade. So in 15 minutes of calling, he did almost 8.5 minutes of promenades.
Also, in one of those figures...
One second, Brian.
Sorry,
One
Mel.
of the other things to be cautious with, though, is there's nothing wrong with finishing with a promenade and then starting the next figure with a promenade. But if you're going to do that, do it with a reason. If you want to give the dancers a relaxed ballad or something to sing and relax with, you can do it. Just don't do it all the time, because if you do, what Brian is talking about is definitely going to happen. Sorry, I just wanted to add that, Brian. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was just going to make another comment about one of those figures that you had up on the screen a moment ago.
Yep.
Swing through followed by a centers cast off 3/4 is considerable overflow because you've had the centers trade with the swing through, and now you're asking them to cast off 3/4. So they're actually turning 1.25 in the center. So I would definitely try and stay away from doing a swing through and then a centers cast off 3/4.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. What that is a pass to the center. It's the center's swing through followed by a cast off 3/4. So you've got a right, left, and then a right 3/4.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking it was the
And and
centers. Like
and
if
I'm
I
just going to put
say,
that up, and that's absolutely an excellent call because I didn't even see that. That can get confusing there.
yep,
That should be that's center couples. That should just be
cast off 3/4.
same four cast off 3/4. Because you're absolutely correct. It's very easy. And how many times have we said if you give the dancers a choice of two things, they will pick the one that you don't want? Excellent catch there, Brian. So there is a lot of choreography that's here. I've sent some of this back. This was the chain down the line, scoot backs from quarter tags. I will send this out to everybody. I have not gone through all of it, so if you are going to do it, I really, really strongly suggest that you double check it. But thank you to everybody that sent in choreography for this session and all the work you've done. But what we're going to do now is we're going to open it up and open it up to the floor for, let's look at some of our newer callers. If you've got a singing call figure, we would like to look at your singing call figure and then just see where we're going to go with putting up a creating a couple modules, or if you've gone and found modules and how you can link them together. And I'd also like to talk to a couple of things which Brian mentioned about knowing what the entire module does, the body flow at the end of the module as well, and the start of the module, because it's not always the greatest thing to link modules together that don't work. So before we begin, has anybody got any comments, questions, or advice for our newer callers? Wow,
Not smart enough to ask a question.
What was that, Linda?
I said, I'm not smart enough to ask a question.
Oh, that I would disagree with, girl.
Yeah.
Very much. Okay. Who'd like to kick us off with a singing call figure?
I've got one.
All right. I'm just going to share the screen so that we can look at it.
Oh, I don't have it written down.
That's okay.
Okay. Head square through, go 4.
Okay, so yep.
Put the centers in. Cast off 3/4. And roll. Relay the deucey.
Oh, we are going plus, are we? Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. I don't know why, but it doesn't like doing relay the deucey from facing couples or boxes all the time.
I've noticed that.
Sometimes it'll do it, sometimes it won't. Okay. So
single hinge. Scoot back. Swing and promenade. I don't know if that's too long. I've got another get out if it is.
Okay. So if we were going to, before we do anything more, let's analyze this first off. What are the focus movements that you want for this choreography?
Cast off 3/4 and roll and relay the deucey.
Okay, so your cast off 3/4 is from an inverted line, which is a bit unusual. Your relay the deucey is a standard, I believe. Let's just have a look at it. So we do a head square through 4. That sets us to a corner box. That's one of our centers in, cast off 3/4 and roll. We're back to a corner box. So it's a standard relay the deucey. We're dancing with a plus group here. Not a big problem. They can do a relay the deucey. The flow is not too bad. It's sequential and it gets us to the corner. And because of concurrent activity, yeah, that would fit into a singing call figure very easily. One of the things that I noted is we're swinging from the top right-hand quadrant. So if she set it up there, the swing is actually coming at about the 52 beat mark. So if you're going to end that with a normal singing call figure or a tagline which has 16 beats, they've got to either get there early or you're going to have to clip off part of your actual singing call figure.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're aware of it. If you know what it's doing and the dance, you're going to take part of that full promenade, you're going to take about 8 beats of that, 6 beats of the promenade away from them. As long as you're aware of it, that's not a problem. A lot of callers will do that.
Go back to where it says hinge and change it to boys run and promenade.
Oops.
See, now I don't have enough.
Yep. So these are the kinds of things that you need to look at. If you're going to do that, how would you flesh that out? Lots of different ways that you could do that. You could set it up for the circle left halfway at the beginning, or everybody join hands, circle right 1/4, and have the new sides square through, and that'll move it over. There's all sorts of different things that you can do on your singing call to make that just a little bit different. Join hands, circle right 1/4. New heads. What was that? And yet, how hard is circle right? It will feel that little bit different. The relay the deucey is pretty straightforward. The only difference is you got there differently. You did a centers in, cast off 3/4 and roll. So, anybody else have
a comment, Mel?
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that on one half of the inverted line, we're having, after the centers in, you have a right-handed cast off 3/4, and you have a roll, which is another right action, and then you start the related deucey with another right-handed action. This is quite a sequential overflow.
Okay, so let's have a look at it. We'll start by tracking the number 1 man.
No, he's not the problem. It's the number 3 lady. It's the head ladies having the problem.
Okay, so
with the side boys.
Let's watch the head lady then. Okay, right 3/4, right, a long flow on the circulate there for the relay the deucey. So it's a 5/4 turn followed by another right turn by the left turn. It's not terrible overflow because of the relay the deucey giving a long walk to break that up. But if you do have dancers that do have a spatial issue, you're doing a right 3/4 followed by a right half, followed by a forward action, followed by a right hand action before you get into the left hand action.
And don't forget the roll. After the roll for those two head ladies and a side man, preferable would be a left-handed action following.
Absolutely.
Just like
Okay.
the number one man and the side lady have it. It's pretty nice flow for them.
Okay, so if we look at this, cast off 3/4. 1, 2, 3, and roll. What would be an easy way of fixing that? Instead of going right into the relay the deucey, what have we got time to do there?
Do-sa-do.
And guess what a do-si-do is? I don't mind a do-si-do. I like do-si-dos in singing calls because they're good for all sorts of different things. But let's put a do-si-do in there and just see what happens. Copy.
But it would be the same body flow action.
That's right.
Because you need to get on the moving over to the left, yeah, and on the one side it's nice because you're turning the body that way, but on the other hand, you'd rather would like to move to the right, and therefore, yeah.
Okay, so we've got, this is where the issue is. Centers in, cast off 3/4, and roll. Now they would actually be, they wouldn't actually close together so much like that. They would still be a fair apart, but as they turn to face each other,
they're coming towards each other with a
this boy right here, it's a left turn. That's, he has to go left and then around to the right and back.
It's perfect for him.
Yep. This one here is turning in and he has to go to the right. Good for both the headmen and the sidemen. Lady turns in. I would beg to differ with that, because if you look at the centers in, cast off 3/4. Okay,
and now comes the roll, which makes him move over to the right instead of going over to the left, which he needs for the do-si-do.
Ignore the sliding together, because the dancers would not do that. They would stay spaced out. The roll would be face-to-face on the spot, and they would end face-to-face on the spot. And then it's a forward action as a do-si-do. And that's no different than a touch a quarter and roll followed by a do-si-do for those dancers, for that number 4, because he's doing the right hand roll and the right hand turn. So that, to me, that flows fine. I agree fully that the constant right hand flow, even with large sweeping movements, would be much. But a do-si-do there might be a decent break. Sorry, you wanted to say something, Brian?
Yeah, I'm not sure who that was talking about.
That was Mickey.
Don't have them all on the screen, but I agree 100% that for the side men and the head ladies, they're turning to their right, which naturally brings their left into play for smooth body flow, whether it be a do-si-do or whether it be a relay the deucey or a swing through or a touch a quarter, whatever. It should really be a left-hand figure for those particular 4 dancers, the side man and the head lady. They're coming together with the left hand because of the roll being towards the right. It naturally brings the left hand in towards them.
Well, that's what
this is the problem with having choreo, which is kind of a mirror-like on each side, where you have a left-hand action and a right-hand action, and not everybody's going either right or left. Then you have to also be careful what is following with the choreo, because the flow is different for each half.
Inverted lines do cause problems. Watching the dancers on the screen doing that and roll when they slide together, I have never in my entire life seen dancers roll by stepping sideways and in towards each other. It's usually a turn to face. After a cast off 3/4 and roll, where that I've used it and I've never had problems with dancers, it's because the timing of the delivery, they know it's coming. If I did a touch a quarter and roll and a do-si-do, that's very, very quick. Even though it's got the same body flow, they have no time to anticipate. So I'm going to actually concede this point. Yes, this is something, and mainly because this is something after a cast 3/4 and roll. If your timing is right, that's not going to be a problem. If your
Yeah,
timing is
but
off a
Mel,
little bit,
if you would call a left touch a quarter and roll and then a do-si-do, it would be not so nice. And that's the thing we're having on the side boy and on the head lady action.
yeah, but I'm
There's
not I'm not
nothing wrong
arguing.
with a cast off
I'm
3/4
not
and roll and
arguing, Nick.
do-si-do.
I'm not arguing touch. I'm not arguing touch a quarter and roll followed by a do-si-do. It's the cast off 3/4 and roll with the do-si-do. There's lots of time for the dancers to get the anticipatory action on that kind of flow. But I am conceding the point. If it's awkward and your timing's off or your dancer's timing off, yes, it is going to be awkward for two of the dancers. So I will concede that point.
Hey, thank
Yes,
you.
Daryl. Oh, we're not finished, Linda.
Oh,
Yes, Daryl.
Just a minute, I have to mute something. Yeah, the thing that I'm wondering about this particular figure, if it's a singing call figure, now, mind you, I don't generally count these things out, but I know that to sing the tagline where you're going to swing and promenade takes 16 beats. I'm curious to see how many beats this takes up before the swing and promenade. And typically I just feel where it's at and I adjust to whatever I need, but without the music, I wouldn't be able to do that without sitting down and doing the calculations. Could you show that to me, please?
Yeah. Well, where we are here, we changed this. We've just thrown a do-si-do in there just for the sake of argument. The relay the deucey, and this sets us up to end in the right-hand quadrant. Now we're doing a boys run and promenade.
That's still an 8-beat promenade.
That's correct.
And you know,
I actually put it as 10, but
well, you see that a lot, and I've never cared for that. But I'm not talking so much about whether it works or whether it flows or anything like that. It's a singing call. And the reason it's a singing call is because you do some singing in it. And typically where you do that singing is in the promenade. Now, the swing and promenade for 16 beats, you got 16 beats of music to sing. Does this allow you 16 beats of music to sing? That's the question.
No, it does not. And that's what we said at the beginning. Because it's setting us up in this right-hand quadrant for an 8-beat promenade instead of a 16. If you're aware of it and you've got the right music to deal with it, you can get away with it, but not very often. And I agree with you 100%. A singing call is a singing call. You want to be able to deliver. It's got to be some really good piece of music or some really good piece of choreography to do that in your singing calls. So the next question that we have, did that address what you were saying, Daryl? I agree with you completely.
I do too.
I think it did. I'm just not fond of even the idea of it. Not in a singing call. Patter, you can do anything. Singing calls should be done well, and in order to do it well, I think that you need to have those lyrics in there some way.
Yeah. The generalization is if you're going to set up your number 1 man and number 4 lady in a singing call, you want them here, here, or here. And if you set it up in any of those locations, you give them the full 16 beats for the promenade. Here, if you're setting it up here, they'll have a couple of extra beats at home. And that's generally what you're going to do. If you say swing and promenade here, and your promenade gives them 16 beats, they're going to be standing at home for 8 beats. And dancers generally do not go home and swing anymore. Some do.
they don't.
But most of them don't anymore. So it is something to be aware of. So, Linda, now that you've got this, our relay the deucey, we're dancing with a plus group. We're going to just take the assumption that they dance plus quite well. So your focus is centers in and a cast off 3/4. So you're working inverted lines. Now we need to have a corner box to corner box module. So we have to develop one. Because remember, we're making our sheet.
Touch a quarter.
Oops, I got to put the cursor in there. That helps. Touch a quarter. Yep. Right hand flow.
Follow your neighbor and spread.
Okay.
Okay.
We want to set up an inverted line.
Oh, you want me to? Okay.
Remember, the inverted line is our focus.
Right.
That cast
Okay,
off 3/4 from the inverted line. That's what we have to set up.
that's not going to work then. Uh,
Anybody else?
split circulate.
Throw out some ideas. We want to get these centers facing out.
Oh. Split circulate.
Yep.
Boys run. Well, oh, okay. I see what
Okay.
you did.
Now, one of the reasons that I did that is for newer callers. Notice that the grouping here, that's still a corner
Okay.
grouping. I can still keep them together and play with them.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got a centers in, cast off,
Thank you, Mel.
cast off 3/4. Now, what you want to do is you want to get back to your corner box. So now what you're trying to do is get them back to the corner box smoothly.
Um, this is hard.
It is hard.
Yeah. Um,
For the dancers too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. What if the centers did a,
Think about something
What
with
it-
your think about something with your ends.
well, the ends could trade, but that wouldn't. The ends could, they, oh, okay. All right. Couples trade.
I wouldn't do a couples trade after that.
Oh, you wouldn't?
Not after an ends trade because it's too big a flow. And a
Okay,
couples
wheel
trade,
and deal.
just as a general note,
Yeah,
I personally never like doing couples trade from facing lines
right,
because they have to crowd in.
right.
If you're gonna do that, save it for challenge level dancers because they like that kind of stuff.
Okay, wheel and deal.
Before you do, you've got everybody in your line, and a better flow would be pass something that they're going to go straight ahead. Everybody's going to do something straight ahead. So keeping your line together, you could use pass through, which wouldn't change anything for you, and then your wheel and deal would be a lot better.
Much better.
Oh, okay.
And then you could even have the centers wheel around if you really want to get there quickly.
Square
Yeah,
through three,
the square, center
Or-
square through 3.
or centers wheel around.
Or wheel around, yeah.
And there's your corner box. Now, what's nice about that is you've got your focus, but we haven't used a lot of plus in there. That's fine. But you know what we can do right there? Because if we look at this, okay, we can do a relay the deucey there.
Right.
Touch quarter, split circulate, boys run. We can do any kind of +0 module from a line
Right.
0. Cast off 3/4, and the ends trade. That works. Or does that work? Hang on a second. Okay, so they're casting. Notice the ends are still moving forward, so the ends can trade quite comfortably. And now the action is forward.
Yeah.
Wheel and deal. And here,
Okay.
you can do a square through 3. You can do a left square through 3 to get a right hand free. You can do a wheel around.
Can you do a pass the ocean, explode the wave?
You can do a pass the ocean, explode the wave if you wanted.
That would then leave you with the left hand free, though.
Then you could Alaman left.
Well, yes, but not relay the deucey.
But you could explode and
Yeah, you could explode and.
pass
And
through.
the problem with pass the ocean, explode the wave is what did it do to the dancers? And now to sequence.
Oh. Well,
No, if you have just the centers.
no. Just the centers pass the
Oh.
ocean, explode the
Yeah.
wave.
Sorry, you didn't want the wheel around there. Okay.
No,
Yep,
no.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense. I'm with you now.
And as Alan says, if you do an explode and pass through, then you've got either hand free.
Or you could also do your explode and put the centers in. And
Yep.
get back to your
Well, no.
Well,
It would be a bit tight and a bit jerky, but
You can't call it explode and centers in if you're just working with the centers.
Yeah.
Yeah, explode the wave.
okay,
Centers.
okay.
I think that's what she meant, or was it? Explode the wave, centers in.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
So the reason, and one of the things that I really like about looking at these figures this way. So we've taken a basic singing call figure. Let's just copy that for a second and paste it into. Where are we going? I'm going to paste that into the chat. I was asked to paste these into the chat because some people like to write them down. But we've taken a basic singing call figure, and from that singing call figure, we've ended it with a left square through 3 to a corner box. We've ended it with a wheel around to a corner box. We've ended it with a centers past the ocean, explode. We've ended it to a corner box. We've ended it with a centers past the ocean, step through, or past the ocean, explode and pass through, where we're in a corner box. We can do an Alamand left. If we take yours, we can do that right and left through, explode the wave, right and left through, pass the ocean, explode the wave, Alamand left. Nice combinations, but what you've done now is you've got a corner box to a corner box. You've got another corner box to a corner box. You've got a corner box resolution. You've got 3 different corner box resolutions. You've got 2 different get outs from corner boxes, getting us to that with those little endings that you've developed. And if you write these down and write down what the formation is as you go, you now have about 4 different modules to get out of a corner box using pass through, cast off 3/4. just by changing the ending.
Okay.
And because we're doing it very simply, Brian and Alan made the point. You want to end this in your corner box with your hands free. A step through, a explode and pass through is better than explode the wave, because that puts your left hand free. If you're going to do explode the wave, are you going to go to an Allemande left? You know,
Okay.
those are the kinds of things that, and you'll see that if you write them down.
Okay.
One that I like, Mel.
Sorry?
I like to do it. Explode the wave to a left touch a quarter, walk a dot,
Yep.
wheel around, flutter wheel, slide through. It's one that I use a heck of a lot, and now dancers, I'm also doing to have the right hand free, touch a quarter, walk and dodge, reverse wheel around to a reverse flutter wheel and slide through.
Yeah.
And
You're going to have to speak a little closer to your mic, Bob.
okay, how's that? Oh, I know what I got to do. Just got to turn the thing on. That's all.
That would also help.
Okay, as I said, I like to do a explode the wave to a left touch a quarter, followed by a walk and dodge, wheel around, flutter wheel. They are very nice. And then to give it the figure eight feeling, I like to do a right hand touch a quarter, walk and dodge, reverse wheel around to a reverse flutter wheel. And you know, I haven't called this since last night, but I do use it often when I have real dancers there. I like the body flow. I like to establish what I call figure eight choreography that balances itself out. And another thing, that do a slide through from here just for the heck of it.
We're in. I've changed.
You're in a line on the screen. That's all I need. I don't hear it used by others a lot, but I will call things like, I would have called slide through and spread, or from here do a right and left through and spread, which, you know, fits the definition. You don't hear it much, but it's a nice way to create your inverted line.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he can't handle this. Definition of spread is that the centers spread apart, the outside step in. Oh.
It just has to be defined. That's all.
Yeah.
It's
And then getting out of it, you could always do the ends run, and that normalizes it very quickly. But let's see, are the centers? No, the centers are not. Call everybody trade, then load the boat. For you that like to do adventurous things.
Okay. Now, yes, you can. If you're doing a full DBD workshop, absolutely. However, remember our focus is on the centers in, cast off 3/4, or establishing. So we need to do a cast off 3/4.
Okay, keeping that a nice get out for the inverted line. All eight circulate. Tag the line. Face in. That's just a flow module I use to create interesting stuff from the inverted lines.
Okay. That's a normalization module.
Yes.
It's not a resolution module.
Not a resolution, no.
So when you have something like this, we've done partner line. We started off with a partner line to partner line. We need to normalize this group. And when you have these inverted lines, we've done a cast off 3/4. What do we want to do there to normalize that? The tag the
Center's
line
right.
thing.
Tag the line.
And
Face out, partner trade.
Face out, partner. Yeah, face out.
and you want to get to a 1P, 2P.
Either right or left through. Or bend the line. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, for me personally, a right and left through would work, and a right and left through, if you know your sequences, you could put that in earlier whenever you had the facing couples. But if you're putting a right and left through at the end of a sequence, it's something I personally try to avoid. And the reason is you got a right hand courtesy turn, your hand is behind the back. The next movement is usually going to be for a line or something that's going to use the right hand. Your hands are occupied. A partner trade, a wheel around will work, or a pass through bend the line works great, and now all your hands are free for a forward action. So
But
you've now got
then-
a sorry, go ahead,
Mel?
Bob.
But the right and left through is an excellent lead in for a Dixie style, which I
It is.
would.
It depends on what you want to do, and that's what knowing your modules are all about. Brian and Alan Kerr, I think you were the ones that said this. If you look at your modules, look at your endings. If you remember, if we go back a few sessions, the things on equivalence, an equivalent to a right and left through, pass through, wheel around, or pass through partner trade, to get those hands free will go a long way what you want to follow that on. And as Bob was just saying, a little ending that gets me to that corner box for the Alaman left, beautiful. Now you've got a resolution module. We've got a partner line to a partner line module. We've got all sorts of different things that can work here. And this is how you begin to build your sheet. And as you can see, it takes a lot of time. You get your checkers out, you start moving them around, you see what you can do, you see what they do, and you're going to see a whole bunch of things pop out at you. And the secret to it is, for success, is being consistent in what you do and writing it all down. Once it's done, you're probably going to find that you've got, Mickey, when you start writing modules on a focus figure and start, you probably end up starting on a theme and end up with, what, about 8 or 9 different modules?
Get very creative.
Yeah.
Sometimes
And what-
it's hard to find an end, but
Yeah.
you get very inspired.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when you come back to it, when you're ready to perform that, you'll only pick 1 or 2 out of those to actually
Right.
use on the floor that night.
Oh,
Right.
This is how you can slowly build your repertoire, because you'll have this big sheet of modules. Remember what I was saying in the presentation? This big long sheet of modules, but when you prepare to deliver it, you've got to focus and cut it down to 1 or 2. Jeff, did you want to say something there, or are you just leaning back in the chair?
Can I just make a comment, Mel?
Absolutely.
Going back to her original theme, which was she was working on the cast off 3/4, and she wants to say add plus. After the cast off 3/4, she could actually have the ends cross fold and a double pass through into a track 2 or something like that, so that she is utilizing her theme.
Mhm.
Ends cross fold wouldn't work there
Uh,
on that particular one.
She started from a corner box, surely.
Yeah.
Oh, he's thinking of the corner box centers in.
Her original, what she was calling originally, yes.
No, I was thinking. You said ends cross fold, double pass through.
Yes,
Yeah.
but he's using a different setup, Mel.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's right. We're in the centers out, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. My mistake. Let's go here.
I was trying to stay with her theme.
Yep. I just realized we were in a centers out instead of a centers in.
You're forgiven, Mel, because that's probably the very first mistake you've ever made, I think.
It's
No,
about time.
There was a time when I thought I made a mistake, but I didn't. So that was my first mistake.
But I was wrong, yes.
Okay, so what Alan is saying is cast off 3/4, ends, cross, fold. And notice everybody is selecting in that inverted line, cast off 3/4, you have your ends moving out. So they can do anything, a fold, a cross fold, or a trade, and it will flow well because it sets the centers stable. Ends, cross, fold, that normalizes. I'm not typing very well today. Track 2, boop, boop. And
Girls trade, if you want to.
I'll eight circulate to a corner box.
Yeah, that would be quicker. Yes, thank you.
that's the one I was looking at, but can't type today for some reason. And we'll just put that in the chat. So it's very easy, and if you are having trouble, you can do these setups. Any one of them will actually take you with any kind of little +0 to fill in. You know, centers in, relay the deucey, all 8 circulate, there you go. You can add your plus development in there, and in this case you've got both the cast off 3/4, track 2, after that track 2, all 8 circulate, relay the deucey. Just flip-flops the square. I think the idea is clear as mud. Let's try somebody new. Who else has got a singing call figure that they wanted to look at? And then we can look at making a couple of little modules for it to deliver it. Any of our new callers? Francis, Hannah?
I have an interesting Dixie
Morning,
style to
Hannah.
an ocean wave figure if you would like to have a look at it.
Sure.
Well, if you start with heads right and left through.
Hang on. Sorry, I've got a bit of a glitch going on here. Come on.
I have dancers that are like that from time to time too.
They must be having a hard time with your Australian accent. Let's try that again. Oh, yeah, that helps. Let's put the cursor in there. What's your figure?
What, heads right and left through.
Yep.
Dixie style to an ocean wave.
Yep.
Boys cross run. Which, interestingly enough, is equivalent to a pass the ocean. Extend. Ladies trade. Single hinge. Ladies run. Reverse flutter wheel. Dixie style to an ocean wave. chain down the line, and promenade.
Don't know if it'll promenade corner from here. Oh, look at that.
Yay.
Brian, there's a lot of dancing in the middle to start it, but
Yeah. I have a Dixie style figure that I like.
Oh, this is a good one, and we'll play with Dixie style for just a second. But Alan made a point there. This is not difficult. It's a little bit of what your extended application, and that's having the boys lead with the Dixie style. So let's just look at this figure for a second. Right and left through, not a problem. Dixie style to an ocean wave. It's a setup. The end dance, the outsides are watching it. Extend. So it's not really that bad. It's taking about, 8, right and left through is 6, Dixie style, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boys cross run, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's 2 beats longer than doing a square through in the middle. So it's not that bad, but the focus is Dixie style, and that's what we're keeping. So you can get away with it. It's not something that you want to do. It's a very valid point. You don't want the dancers doing all that stuff in the middle all the time with the outsides. But on a setup and focus movement, that's not a problem. But you'd have to make sure you do the same thing for the sides to follow it. We did an extend, ladies trade, hinge, girls run, reverse flutter wheel. And now we're setting boys lead Dixie style. There's our focus. Boom, boom, boom. And keeper promenade. Okay, so let's copy that. Paste it in the chat first. And so your focus on this would be the boys lead Dixie style. Would that be correct, Brian?
Well, Dixie style to an ocean wave was the focus movement. So I've got the routine with the girls leading Dixie style, and I've also got the routine with the boys leading Dixie style.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let's play with Dixie style for a bit. Somebody said they had a Dixie style
Yes.
figure.
Well, my favorite is head square through 4,
Okay,
slide through,
hang on.
and Sloopy, hang on. Oh. And this one is really easy. Okay, slide through.
Mm-hmm.
You do the right and left through. Dixie style. Girls circulate, boys trade, Alaman left and promenade.
Girls circulate. There we go. Let's move that cursor. Boys trade.
That's nice.
And depending on how well the dancers dance, instead of boys trade, I'll say the 4 boys scoot back, Alaman left and promenade, which is also is very nice.
Or at plus level, you could call AC-doocy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So here now that's your singing call figure. It's 54 beats of music. So we'd probably put a bit of filler in there somewhere. You know, maybe a forward and back after the slide through if you wanted that. Or all sorts of different things. That's not a problem. And especially it's a good thing to consider when you're doing a focus movement, you want to do that. Now, if we look at the figure that you have here, we've got a singing call figure, but if we look at, there's a corner box to an Alaman left, that takes me to my corner. Alaman left, go forward 2 to a do passo and promenade. Now I've got a Dixie style, girls circulate, boys trade, Alaman left, go forward 2 to a do passo and promenade your partner home. I've got a resolution. And it's one of those big, multiple direction turning, wind in your face resolutions. Instead of just saying go forward 2 and promenade, you've got all sorts of options there.
Probably one of the best places to do a fill-in if you wanted to extend the length of the figure to give a 16-beat promenade would be to do an alternative for a square through at the beginning, like use a substitute
promenade
figure.
halfway past the ocean extend.
No, not
Sorry, sorry, Brian, I had to do that.
Yes.
Heads past the ocean, girls trade, recycle to a right or left through a full turn, you know. If you're trying to add more beats. But I would
also could,
I would add the beats after the square through, now before, or as a replacement for.
But this right here,
you could put a do
with a
side
bit of a
do in
tag
there.
on it. Yep. You could do all sorts of different things in there.
Yeah.
That right there, with just change that tag. If you're doing this and you find that you've got a singing call figure, go forward 2 to a do passo. If you end that into a promenade in your patter, and you set it up by just doing a quarter rotation, you're going to end up that do passo with the courtesy turn at home. Wow, that's a wow resolution right there.
Well,
And
try this one.
There's all sorts of things that you can do with that. Now you've got a figure and a resolution in your theme. We need to have one more thing in here, and that is our Dixie style with the boys lead, or even a reverse Dixie style. Let's get into that. Let's have Dixie style with the boys lead. Sorry, Bob, you had another figure?
Yeah, well, right here is where we would call the Dixie style. Do the Dixie style here. I want to check out something.
Okay, one second here.
Have we done? Okay, square through 4.
That's our fixed point, corner box,
Slide
slide through, corner line.
Right or left through. Dixie style. Swing through.
This is one of my favorites.
You know what's next then. Go ahead and type it in.
Okay, down the line.
So to get out here would be past the ocean and recycle. Swing and promenade.
Okay. So what we have here is a corner box to a corner box module, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it, 45 beats of music, you can also use that as a singing call. Okay, so let's set up a corner box, or actually let's set up a partner line. We want to use the other focus movement that we have, which is a boys lead Dixie style. So how are we going to set that up? Let's see if we can get one of the newer callers to just give us something to play with. Linda, Yolanda, Scotty, Brian, you're relatively new.
I've got one.
John,
Yeah,
I know you probably got a Linda.
Half sachet?
Okay,
That doesn't flow good.
It depends on how you got there. But if you want to set up a half sachet, what's a good way of setting that up?
Ride left through half sachet.
Excellent.
Boys lead
let's look
Dixie
at.
style.
Yeah. Now, how many people think a right and left through with a half sachet followed by a boys lead Dixie style is good flow?
I was watching your dancers. It looked pretty darn good.
I think it works because
Yeah.
you're sliding the girl forward. She's going to drop back. The man is going to move forward after he steps sideways and come forward to make the pair. It's a natural flow into that. If your dancers are doing your half sachet where the man is just going to stand still and pull the girl across, it won't flow. But if he's stepping back and stepping forward like he's supposed to be, that's beautiful flow. Okay, so now we've got a partner line to a partner line. We've used our Dixie style. Now we've got to get this back to a partner line as quick as we can. How would we do that?
Can I say something?
I know you can see it.
Word.
Boys cross run.
Whoa.
After a Dixie style, you really need to consider something for the centers.
Girls trade.
Chain down the line would go well.
Perfect.
That's what you used in the last one, Brian.
And there's nothing wrong with that because
That's good.
we're using something that's unusual, the reverse Dixie style, but we've got that in our singing call. We've got that chain down the line. We've got something that's familiar to the dancers. It's a comfort thing coming off an unusual Boys Lead Dixie style back to something that's comfortable and familiar.
Correction.
That wasn't a reverse Dixie style though.
No, it was not.
All right, did I say reverse? I mean I said a Boys Lead Dixie style. If I said reverse Dixie style, I stand corrected.
Not only that, you could from here repeat it. After the chain down the line, the half sachet and Dixie style again to give them another go at it would be an excellent go back in.
Yep. And what's you can do.
Yep.
Yep, sorry, should have been a half sachet there, wasn't it? Half sachet.
Okay.
And you can do that all the way around the floor till the cows come home and everybody's dancing with everybody, and it's going to feel, when you look at that, because pass through, bend the line as opposed to a right and left through does the same thing. The flow of the dancers, see who they're moving with? Same group of four, but a simple funk. Now I've got a completely different flow, a completely different set of walls, different boys going with different boys, different girls playing together. Add on your Dixie style and you've got a nice little zero module, which is that. And we'll put that in the chat.
I have an interesting but not easy return to home routine that uses reverse Dixie style. If you want to have a look at it.
1 second, I'm just putting Control B. Sorry, what I'm doing is I'm adding on all the choreography that people are sending me and everything else into these spreadsheets or the sheets. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
This is from a squared up set, and I'll usually, because it doesn't matter who you pick to do it, I'll give the dancers the opportunity to make the decision. So I'll say any two opposite couples go forward and back, so you can have either the heads or the sides do it. It gives the dancers a little bit extra thinking time. And then Dixie style to an ocean wave. boys cross run, which is your equivalent of past the ocean, extend, single hinge, scoot back. Boys run and reverse Dixie style. Girls cross run. All 8 circulate. Alaman left. And bow to your partner.
Nice.
And within that, you can do that. You could also do that right into a promenade.
Yep.
Which is, we've got a singing call. We've also got to get into a corner box left-hand ocean wave. Instead of doing that circulate, extend and trade by. Or sorry, extend and trade by, or step through trade by. However you want to do it, and that'll take you to that corner box. Everybody see that, where I'm at? You see that, Linda? So in this singing call figure, everyone. Okay, so in that singing call figure, it's a beautiful little figure using a reverse Dixie style. Our theme is Dixie style. It's great. It's nice and simple. There's not a lot to do it. He's got it right at the end. So even if the dancers do have a hiccup, he's got one movement and bang, they're resolved to home. You can do the swing it home. The dancers can fix it. But if he wants to do that after the girls cross run, okay, he can do a step through and trade by.
Yes.
Or you can do an all 8 circulate 1.5 Alaman left, come back and promenade, and then it's original corner that you're promenading.
Yep. Now it's a get into a corner box that uses our theme. It's also, as he noted, Dixie style to an ocean wave, centers cross run extend is the same as calling heads past the ocean extend. And that is an across the street box in an ocean wave, or a right hand, or RBO, right hand box out of sequence. Those are things that as you develop your repertoire, you're going to see. But what's important on this one for a new caller, I would say that this is a nice get-in module to a corner box. This is also a very nice sequence just to call. And you don't have to use the forward and back. You can actually change this to a heads past the ocean extend in your patter, because it's just an equivalent, and camouflage it from the dancers. So now you've got a quick get in going, wow, where did that come from? So there's lots of ways to use that. And if we were going to use that, I would have now a singing call, a second singing call figure, one using Dixie style, one using a boys lead Dixie style, one using a girls lead Dixie style, all of which would have corner box analogies. We've got a corner box to a corner box module. We've got a 2 couple module, which works, so that can be used in lines. We've got to get into a corner box, and we can also use past the ocean extend or head square through half a chicken plucker and finish it to a corner box. All of those things, I've now got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 modules based on 2 singing call figures and 1 little zero, or sorry, 3 singing call figures, 1 little zero. Add on to that your foundation modules, past your magic modules, or touch a quarter, all 8 circulate, boys run, line to box. You will run out of music long before you run out of repetitive choreography.
Okay, Mel?
Yes.
A thing that I like to do after Dixie styles, do a slide through right and left through Dixie style here.
Hang on. What I'm going to I'm going to take it to a corner box because it's just easier to paste in the chat if that's all
I
right.
thought that's where you were. That's what's on my screen.
I am, but I'm just a clean sequence is what I mean.
Okay.
It just some of the people are copying these out of the chat, so it allows them to see it's in a corner box. Okay, you
Okay.
want slide through, right and left through?
Yes. A favorite of mine, Dixie style, and fan the top. Nice flow.
Lovely flow.
To a spin the top.
Sorry.
Okay. Then from there, I would either do an explode or something, but you can do something simple, cast off 3/4. Walk and dodge. Wheel around. Square through 3, and there's the corner.
Yep.
I wasn't shooting for a singing call there, but oh, you could have done the wheel around into a promenade there, couldn't you?
Let's start some controversy here.
Yeah, that's what partner trade and roll.
What were you trying to do there? Oh, I'm not seeing.
Oh, your ending with wheel around, square through 3.
Yeah.
What I was pointing out is all of these kinds of things, if you're looking at them, you've got all sorts of different endings. Walk and dodge. A partner trade and roll, pass through, bow to your corner. Nice, very quick, simple ending.
Bow to your partner.
Or sorry, bow to your partner, I should say. Yours was wheel around and square through 3. Now, what I'm going to do you remember the module that we had just a little while ago?
There were more than one.
Okay, so we had this walk and dodge.
Yeah.
We can do a wheel around or a reverse wheel around. Let's just do a wheel around.
Oh, there is
on.
something that I use that's super cool right
Just
here.
a
You
second.
wouldn't think of it.
Now, remember
just,
this?
Just before you move on, Mel, you could actually just half sachet there in the side, step forward and bow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for a singing call, you could do a half wheel around and couple circulate into a promenade.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's a bit much. Can we go back to just
on a
after
second.
the walk and dodge, please?
What I wanted to show you is if we use that first get in that you had to a corner box, now what we've done is we've used the corner box module using the Dixie style that Bob just gave us. So if you think about this, if we did head square through, if I remember this, head square through, slide through, right and left through, Dixie style to an ocean wave, swing through, chain down the line, pass the ocean, recycle, that takes us to a corner box, slide through, right and left through, Dixie style to an ocean wave, fan the top, spin the top, cast off 3/4, walk and dodge, wheel around, and then we use the 2-couple module that we had, right and left through, half sachet. This is one we did from a corner box, but we can do it from a line. Right and left through, half sachet, Dixie style to a wave. That's the boys leading. Chain down the line. We're back in our corner box, and we can finish that with the square through 3 or any of those other endings we've talked about. There's a nice little routine that's used. Dixie style, boys lead, Dixie style. We throw in that reverse Dixie style. We're there. That's how it all goes together. Go ahead.
Can you back up to where I just called walk and dodge?
I can.
Okay, we're 47 beats. But not specifically this one, but I would, after that walk and dodge, something that's very smooth and unusual is just to call a promenade. Because the wheel around that you would do, that they would be anticipating, that walk and dodge into a promenade is just slicker than you can't get it. So all you got to do is put a few extra beats into. Oh, it was 63 total. That's close enough to 64.
So the whole thing in here: slide through and a right and left through, Dixie style to an ocean wave, fan the top. Great. From a left-hand wave, that's our unusual focus. We can do a whole theme around fan the top from left-hand waves, and that can be an entire theme going in. We've got the ability to do all sorts of different things from here. So now we've got a singing call figure. We've got something to work. We pick something out of that that's just a little unusual. Dixie style to a wave, fan the top. That could be the entire theme for the entire tip. We could set up the opener, Dixie style to an ocean wave, fan the top, extend cloverleaf, new centers, etc., 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 etc. We could have during the cloverleaf, centers right and left through with a half sachet, Boysley, Dixie style to an ocean wave, extend and cloverleaf. And now we've repeated that theme all the way through with our sequences in our patter call, so that modules would flow. And when we come back to a singing call and call this, the dancers are going to be very, very comfortable, because even though it's unusual, it's going to be just that little bit different, but not difficult, because they've been dancing this all through the patter. And they'll have confidence in you. You'll have confidence in material because you've developed it and it worked. And your patter call and your singing call is going to work together, and it all works.
One thing I call a lot of my advanced dances as a setup, I have the head slide through, everybody go Dixie style to a wave, creating a left-hand wave situation. And I think that's another place I can use my walk and dodge wheel around thing. And then it's...
Sorry, I wasn't ignoring you, Bob. I just realized I hadn't put that in the chat.
Okay.
So you did a heads...
slide through. Now, some people think it's important to say on the double track, but
Right.
Dixie style is a tandem call.
Yeah.
From here, walk and dodge.
Yeah, but since the heads in the center were active, some people may think they're still active in the center.
Well, then I would say head slide through, everybody Dixie style to a wave.
Okay.
Problem solved.
Some kind of
Right.
indication.
My dancers have been trained that that's what it is. If I want the centers to work for a Dixie style, I would say just the centers go Dixie style to a wave. The others divide and left touch a quarter, 6-2 or something. Okay, but walk and dodge, wheel around. Flutter wheel. I just like the flow. Square through the square root of 64 or 16. Square through 4. Trade by to your corner box. That's one I love to use a lot. And then from the corner boxes, I might do a swing through, because I love the tandem use of Dixie style. Wow.
So now what did you want?
Swing through.
We're from a corner box?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Swing through. Boys run. Tag the line. Cloverleaf Dixie style to a wave.
I only put that in there as an indication. I don't think anybody would really have a problem with it.
No. And then just the standard get out. Okay. Boys cross run. Recycle. PT. TV. There's your corner box. But I do make extensive use of the single filed. And people say, huh? And I say, how do you hear the call Dixie style most commonly called? You hear ladies lead Dixie style. When the ladies lead, that sets up the tandem to do your Dixie style.
Yes, Jeff. You've muted yourself again. You're muted, Jeff. There you go.
That right now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, head star through on the double track Dixie style to an ocean wave. Centers trade. Left swing through. Boys trade. Boy walk, girl dodge, swing and promenade.
Or it's more fun if you say boys walk, girls don't dodge, swing and promenade.
Yeah.
Well, you can say boys walk, girls are the dodgy ones, swing that dodgy girl.
Yeah, another thing to add some spice and a little bit extra in there, instead of calling a slide through, which Bob mentioned, and then call it on the double track everybody, you could call on heads past the ocean and using the ocean wave rule, and maybe add a little balance in there, so they're not scared all the way, and then have it on a double track starting from an ocean wave in the middle, from a quarter tag.
That's right.
Sure. But along my train of thought with you, Michael, I'll set up an ocean wave of 4 boys in the middle and girls on the outside, and I'll call a ping pong circulate to a Dixie style mega wave.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've seen from a quarter tag, a Dixie style from a quarter tag, break down floors a number of times. And one of the best fixes I ever saw was Bill Harrison. He was playing with this. He said, pass the ocean, go forward, and come way back, keep her Dixie style. You know, or hang on. I think he said, hang on, start a Dixie style, right, left, into the wave.
Okay. But
it's the same kind of thing, but it's along the same line of on your own track, giving the dancers that little indication for success the first time, maybe the second time. They will pick it up and know what to expect if that's what you're going to do. But getting into the theme of what we're talking about here, if I was going to be doing Dixie style from a quarter tag, that would be my focus theme. I wouldn't have a whole bunch of Dixie styles. I'd have that one, and I'd have things centered around it, unless I was in a place where I was doing a full DBD workshop. Then I could have a whole bunch of different things.
Mel?
Yes.
This is one of the things that it's a matter of timing. If you did what Bill Harrison did, everybody was in their wave and then they got confused over the issue of Dixie style. But if you anticipate that, you don't need that rear back stuff. All you got to do is start from a double pass through, all girls in the center, call it a few times Dixie style, and then set up your wave, do the ping pong circulate, but preferably start with the girls in the middle, ping pong circulate, go twice, go Dixie style to a wave. I've never had anybody break down.
And that's yeah, as you said, that's the beauty of callers that have exceptional timing. If you give the dancers the command 2 beats before they finish the last movement, they know it's coming. That Dixie style, they're not going to stop at the ocean wave at the end of ping pong circulate. They're going to come in with the hand free and go with that right pull by. Timing, delivery timing, command timing, and execution timing are something that all callers need to be aware of. Different session, but excellent point.
And taking a look at the choreo, if you call a slide through, like the head slide through and Dixie style, everybody do a Dixie style. It's exactly the same way they're walking if you would call on heads past the ocean Dixie style. So if you start first with a slide through and then have the Dixie style done from the double pass through formation, and if they've done that a couple times, they get used to walking the way, and then you just have the other call in between, which just indicates the same flow and the same working path, a walking path where they work along, right?
Sure.
You wouldn't just call that just like that to make the flow break down.
No.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that I would also note there is it was said once earlier, which was head star through followed by a Dixie style.
That
right hand to a right hand for a boy. That's the same argument as star through, square through. A lot of people accept it because the hand comes down after the star through. A star through to a Dixie style, for me personally, is a bit, I find it awkward. I would use a slide through with no problem.
I don't think I did. But
no, it was just something that was mentioned in conversation.
But another thing is starting from a squared up situation, like head man face the corner and star through. Can Contaminations handle that? No, not even close.
You said head step in and face your corner?
No, I did not.
Oh, what did you say?
From a squared set, the head man and his corner girl star through.
Oh, no, contamination.
No.
Okay. Anyway, but I think the callers can follow it. So you have girls as the head couples and boys as the side couples. Then it's fun to call us girls swing through spin the top Dixie style. Again, because of the spin the top, you've got lead time, so they'll walk right into it. And it creates a different feel.
Yeah. Got to be careful with the boys because sometimes they expect the ladies coming out from the center. They all just courtesy turn.
Not my dancers.
Sorry, you had girls in the center doing which?
Okay, girls recycle and sweep, or girls veer left and bend the line here. Or girls, no. Girls pass the ocean.
Put the cursor in the right spot. Ah, yeah, spin the top, right.
Then spin the top to a Dixie style. Gosh, it's been so long since I used that. Guess what they get to do later tomorrow afternoon?
Cool.
I will confess that on a lot of, it did chain down the line. Come on, kid.
I was good.
It's your favorite, Mel. Use it. Or you will lose it. Oh, terrific. Now, how do you normalize this for you sight callers? What's the best way to normalize this situation?
Well, I was thinking
Slide
once you're
through
here,
Dixie Grand.
No, you changed.
I was thinking once you're there, you can start normalizing even with the girls circulating.
No,
really
this
straight
is well. You could do that,
off of the
but
wave.
back to where you were. My question was from there.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't work. What happened? You changed the whole thing on me.
No, I didn't. I'm just putting it back.
Oh,
There you go.
okay. See, this is an opposite lady situation. So either square through 2 or 4. Take your pick.
I would call a slide through and a Dixie Grand.
That's probably right.
Yeah, but we're in mainstream here.
Yeah, we're trying to normalize it.
With
The
a really,
thing
really
is-
nice.
If you square through 2 or 4 and trade by, everybody will be facing their partner.
There's a
And a
really-
trade. Now they're out of sequence, so you call a square through 3 element left. But
Or
Or square through and on the third hand, box the net, right, left grand.
Can I give you one from?
no, now give us one. Who spoke?
Brian Hotchkiss. Just if you go back to that opposite lady line out of sequence. Okay, right and left through. So you've got an opposite lady line in sequence. There you go. This is quite a neat little get out that I use occasionally. Just the boys. Can we'll get terminations to do that or not? Just the boys swing through.
Boys extended swing through, isn't it?
Cast off 3/4. Alaman left.
Put that one in there. I like it. Love T-bones.
It's not working here.
Yeah, it works with real dancers
Yeah, I know.
because, like cast off 3/4, you've got your corner there by your left shoulder,
Yeah.
whereas with terminations, they've actually passed their corner.
That's where they'd end up with. That's where they would reach into. And then finish it with the right limb. But they would
Yeah.
still be in the center for the element.
Short element left, though, yeah.
Yeah. Because when they're here, he'd reach to here, and he'd reach.
If for some reason or other, after the cast off 3/4, the boys have let each other go
Yep.
Yeah.
in terminations, whereas in real life, the boys would still be in a walk and dodge
Right hand.
situation in the center.
Okay, can you undo the cast off 3/4?
Well, it didn't like that at all.
What I call a lot is boys reverse extend and just normalize the lines. Then a right and
Right.
left. But that's the thing I like.
Yeah, I from there I sometimes say boys hit reverse, back
Okay.
up and make lines of 4. Yeah, but if,
We're
if you
thinking
do,
a lot. We're thinking alike.
But if you do a boys single hinge, wonder how that'll go. Yeah, see, they've let each other go. They've let each other go again. Instead of calling cast off 3/4, I sometimes call boys single hinge and then scoot back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work for the boys and not much for the girls.
Yeah, but it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the issue is Tamination is not geared for that. It's trying to adjust to the linear grid.
Yeah.
Yes, it would work.
Yeah, when you're doing it, the dancers are wondering how in the hell is this going to work, and then when you finish with an Alaman left, the whole thing just falls into place. We were talking about walk and dodges earlier, and sometimes when I'm doing workshops with walk and dodge, I like to use a little thing that we used to use a long time ago, and I never hear callers calling it now, whereas if you have a walk and dodge and you ask the walkers to do something or the dodgers to do something. Can we just do a heads star through pass through there, Mel? Star through and pass the ocean. An interesting thing is if you do a walk and dodge and the dodges trade from ocean waves, it's the same as all 8 circulate, which can be very, very interesting to use. So if from here we do a walk and dodge and the dodges trade, well, I don't know whether you can do that with terminations.
We'll have to call side trade.
Yes.
Yeah, well, if you call sides trade, okay, you'll notice that you end.
Sides trade. Oh, yeah, sides trade.
You end up in a 0 box wave.
Yeah, I call the heads trade there.
So I sometimes, as a singing call, from here I would call things like just single hinge. So we've got normal scoot back situation. And then everybody do a walk and dodge. And you notice the ladies are the dodgers. So you can either say ladies trade or dodgers trade, which is giving you an all 8 circulate. And then you do the same thing again. So you walk and dodge. And this time it's the boys who are the dodgers. Okay, so now boys trade. And you can quickly resolve it by having ladies run, everybody circle to the left.
If I play with stuff like this, I usually have the walkers, because they have no body flow impact, do the work going to the left or right.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's.
I don't hear very many callers using the walkers do something or the dodgers do something. I mean, you can do things like walk and dodge and the walkers fold or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or walkers run.
I haven't used that terminology in years.
No.
So what's interesting about that, and what I liked what you said there, Brian, is in particular, like boys trade, walkers trade, dodgers trade. In this case, dodgers trade. Girls run circle left. All you do is circle left to home, Alaman left, swing and promenade, or Alaman left, right and left, right. You can use that in a singing call. A lot of people don't understand that a circle left is a perfectly good resolution, and it's a perfectly good movement for use in patter calling, especially setting up different things. And a beautiful noise or a music that has carriage, using a circle left here and let the music carry it before that Alaman left is no different than using a song that has an 8-chain 4 swing your corner, where you're singing on the 8-chain 4 figure. This would work in that as well. Circle left, sing your song, Alaman left and promenade, sing the rest of your song, and you can really engage the dancers with a very fast, snappy song, because this is very fast, snappy movements.
Yeah. Mel, a couple of
Yes.
things I do on singing calls. I'll do swing the corner and circle left and sing my way home.
Yep.
And another thing I love this figure, is 4 ladies chain 3/4.
We're starting
Static square.
hang on a second. I want to just post that one into the figure. Circle left. Sing. Element left and promenade. Sorry, I was just posting that into the notes.
Not a problem.
Yep.
Head square through 4. Did you do a 3/4? No, you just did a half. Undo.
That was a chain 3/4, was it?
No, it was not.
No, you wanted a chain 3/4.
Yes.
Okay. My bad. Yep.
Head square through 4. Pass through, trade by. Oxenat. Dixie Grand. Do paso at home, boys. Do paso. And sing your way to a squared set. It replaces the promenade. Takes just as long.
Yeah, it won't do a do paso. That's one of the failings of Taminations.
But anyway,
I could do it up on Colorama, but absolutely.
Yeah.
So Dixie Grand, and then we would do a
Do paso.
do paso.
And if you're doing mainstream, you can do a right and left grand on the 4th hand. Do a do paso and sing your way to heaven.
Okay.
Jeff, you had a question? Or you just pointing a finger at me?
No, I wanted to say something.
Yes,
Just
Jeff.
another little setup like that, but it's a little bit silly, but it's fun. All right. So from a static square, 4 ladies chain 3/4. Heads do a right and a left through. Sides pass through.
No.
Oh, that was interesting.
You have to have the heads back up in Taminations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now sides pass through.
Hang on.
Oh, all right. Sides do a U-turn back. Sides. Oh, sorry. All right.
Center.
Head ladies do a U-turn back as well. That's yeah. Okay. From there, circle to the left.
Back away, circle left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't do a circle left. What are you doing after that?
All right. Swing the nearest lady.
Oh,
Should
yeah,
have-
that would.
Your corner's the nearest lady.
Yeah, sure. Call that up my Sunday night group, and the 2 ladies will swing each other.
I was going to say you could also say swing your preference.
Yeah.
Dangerous ground there.
But it's fun.
Yeah, it's simple.
I just realized that Roz had sent me a private chat, and I have been posting these last figures into a private chat to Roz. So I'm just going to put them into the everyone chat here and hope they come through. And copy.
But no one picked it up.
Well, no, because there you go. Every time somebody sends me a private message, it switches to private chat, and if I don't see the message, because I've got 3 different screens going on here, I just answer, or I post it. It posts to the last person that sent me a message, even if they're not here anymore. Really don't like the zoom. Anyway, I put that in there. Circle left, boy, boy, girl, girl. Boys swinging their skirl and promenade.
You can also achieve that with having the typical type thing, which you can build up a singing call like I like to play along with it, which is the heads or side square through, 4 hands. Make a right hand star with the outside.
Are you going to come back with a left hand star and back to the corner?
Come back with a left hand star in the middle. One time around, pick up your corner, star promenade, all back out, join hands, swing the nearest one. This would be the last figure in a singing call I would call with the star right and left routines. The first one would be like a right and left through and a half sachet with a U-turn back. The next one would be a slide through and a square through 3, something like that. And the very last one would be the variety of picking up your corner, which would be the original partner. And then all back out, swing the nearest girl or boy, whatever, promenade. So this would be, that's the thing, because you ask how I would set up things with a singing call too. Starring the stars. Now we had the thing with the Dixie styles, and if I would create a singing call, I would have a little variations in there. I would start probably the same all the way, which would be, for example, which may be interesting for the newer callers. It's a head square through 4, getting to the corner box. And then see how much time we have, either do side do or just straight into a touch a quarter, a scoot back, and boy run, which we have a corner line. And then we go into a right and left through, Dixie style, make an ocean wave, and the boys cross fold, swing and promenade. Now this would be the first figure I would call. On the second figure,
will that go into terminations?
Do the same thing. But after the right and left through in the Dixie style, I would have the boys sashay nose to nose into a promenade. And on the third figure, I probably would do something like, it's always the touch a quarter, scoot back, boy run, right and left through with a half sashay. Now putting the boys in the lead for a Dixie style and have the girls do the cross fold for a swing. And the last routine, I probably would do the same thing with
Mickey,
with the right, left, 2.5 sachet, Dixie style, leading the boys, and the girls sachet and have a half sachet couple circulate one time and roll the boys away with enthusiasm and promenade. So this would be a thing where I would have 2 type of Dixie styles in there and build it up just like exciting singing call. The same thing to have more how you call it, empathy and more emphasis on developing the choreo with
one
little
of the things that I need to say, Mick, just hang on a second. Can you give me, because what you're saying is here's a figure and what you're playing with is another Dixie style figure, and then you're just changing the endings for enthusiasm. Okay, so will those figures go into terminations? Because a lot of our newer callers cannot visualize this
Yeah.
the way you're visualizing this.
They should.
So can you give me the figure again?
Okay, so what we start off is always, we go with the head square through.
Yep.
Okay. And then touch a quarter. Scoot back. Boys run. Right and left through. And up to here, everything is the same. And I like to build up routines like that. And then we have slightly variations. Now here would be, right? And now we would have the boys do the cross run or cross fold.
Hang on.
Okay, the standard would be before the Dixie
Okay,
style.
so now you've got boys cross. You had boys cross run?
Cross fold. Cross fold.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, but in your writing, you would have to, that is the standard open, you would have to put that before the Dixie style. Because the Dixie style, or after the right and left through, we have the variations.
You're doing a Dixie style after the right and left through, are you not?
Right, but we will have in the second, in the third, and in the fourth figure, we will have a sachet before we do Dixie style.
Okay, so that's one figure. It's easy.
No,
That's easy.
Mel, he wants you to move. He wants you to move your
comment.
Ah, wrong button. Sorry.
Okay, this is always the standard. That's how we always get in there.
Okay. Now. Now you want a variation after the boys run, correct?
Right and left through.
The right and after the right and left through.
Yep.
Okay, but we're talking now about the third figure because we're having the boys in the lead. The second figure would be the same as the first, but with the boys sashaying nose to nose, which we also will have in the fourth figure for the ladies. So there's a kind of.
Hang on. Instead of jumping, let's get one at a time so I can post them in there. So okay, so you've got boys run. What are you doing after that?
Right and left through.
Yep.
Dixie style to an ocean wave. Boys sachet nose to nose.
Remember, is that a slip or a slither?
Slither.
Slither.
Thank you. That's a boy's slither, isn't it?
It's also a boy's sachet.
You could also call it Dixie sachet for the whole thing, but
No, we're not doing C1.
right.
Does it do a boy's sachet?
Well, I know that it's legal to call.
Yeah.
Whether combinations can do it.
Okay.
Did it do it?
Okay. And then promenade, or if you want to add couples circulate and then promenade, which makes sure that they go one time around.
Yes. I see Brian does that a lot too.
Indeed.
And at one dance, I called couples circulate 4.5 times. I sang the song and I says, now face in. But
So this would be our second figure in the singing call. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now we start the second half, which is after the middle break, and we're going to add some more in there, right? A half sachet. And now we have the Dixie style with the boys leading. And for the dancers to get acquainted with it and not have too many changes, we just have the girls do the cross fold and swing again in promenade. So the fourth figure would be the same, except for the girls doing the cross fold. We will have a sachet nose to nose, which is a slither again.
Yeah, I just got to put it in here.
And now dancers note that the couples circulate in promenade. We had something like that before, but of course we have sachet, so we can add another excitement with roll the boys away, which flows nice into a promenade again and speeds up a little bit. And right, in promenade. It's not a sachet, it's a roll away. We need the action.
Yeah, I realized that when I saw your flow, what you were doing.
Yeah. And so what we did, we have our theme in there with the normal Dixie style, with the boys in the lead, with a variation type thing, and we have 4 different figures with very, very little variations, but very different feel and building up excitement. Yeah. And we can achieve that with very little changes if we're very cautious about building it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you were doing this in your pattern, you can use set any of those up so that they end with their partner to come back to a line or into a circle left and right hand. So whatever you want, follow that up with a boy star right, turn partner left. All 4 ladies lead Dixie style to an Alamandar. All those kinds of things in your pattern to fill in and use every one of those sequences. Again, you've got so much material there, and then that little corner box to corner box, 2 couple modules, fill them in any time. It does not take a lot of material to make interesting choreography in your pattern. Match that pattern and the theme of that pattern and the idea to the singing call. And once you've got that and you've practiced it, you perfected it, you perfected your singing calls as best you can, ready to perform it, you've got your music. Your pattern call is going to either complement or contrast your singing call depending on what you want to achieve. If it's a theme, you've got your choreography, and your pattern call is going to have success for the dancers, and you're going to give them the reward of that success, what they used in the pattern, in the singing call, and suddenly you've got a little bit different, not difficult, and the dancers feel really, really good about themselves without having to go into massive technical, weird and wonderful DVDs. Your difficulty or your theme is around your focus movement. The rest is to bring them back to what's familiar and comfortable. And the dancers will succeed. As long as they succeed, you succeed. Sorry, you were going to say something, Bob.
Yeah, I'm just not a favor of different figures all the time. And that brings to my mind Scott Smith or Ken Bauer. He could call the same thing 4 times in a row, and you would think it was different every time. One classic thing that he used to do was, I don't think you need to type this out, square through 4, touch a quarter, scoot back, boys run, do a right and a left through and a half sachet. At this point, he would call a star through, U-turn back, swing the corner, promenade. The second time, he would call it, and he might say star through, boys, swing the girl behind you. And then the third time, girls, swing the boy behind you. Everybody has to U-turn back to do that. And the last time, he would say, everybody swing your favorite girl, or all the boys swing your favorite girl. And people would scratch for a minute before they turn around and swing. But he called the same thing 4 times in a row, created a lot of excitement and a lot of variety without turning it into a patter call.
Yep. I don't have. I'm also a proponent of. I like to use one figure in my singing calls. If I'm doing an open dance where I have a theme, I may have 2 figures if I've got a specific thing that I'd like. In this one that Michael has given us, he's given us basically 2 figures. He hasn't really changed anything other than couples circulate and promenade, couples circulate half sachet, or sorry, couples circulate, girls roll that boy away and finish promenading. And in his first one's the same thing. He's not really changing him. He's really only got 2 figures there. That would be the maximum I would use. I wouldn't hesitate to do that because he's playing with the dancers a little bit, and he's keeping the theme of Dixie style, or girls lead Dixie style or boys lead Dixie style. That is there. I would not put a double track Dixie style in the patter. I would not put a reverse Dixie style, but I would use those 2 because that would be my theme. You could get away with it there. But if you only did a standard Dixie style, you could not use those 4 figures.
Right.
In your singing call.
But let's put it that way: if there's nothing wrong with using 4 same figures for a singing call, I do that too. But then just take the routine, and you got the whole theme for an evening using the routines in 4 singing calls. Yeah, and have them build up different.
And that was where I was going to go next, because you could do a first warm up, standard Dixie style, use one of your figures. Second, use a bit of a different setup. Third one, boys lead Dixie style. Fourth one, reverse Dixie style with the boys leading. You've got an entire evening of singing calls and patter calls that you can play with around one movement. It's not that hard to build up.
Yeah. Another thing I guess I could be wrong. I'm just not a fan of girls roll the boy away and promenade, because the boy is backing up from the rollaway and then has to go forward into the promenade. And I would just do a reverse half sachet and promenade, because the boy backs up and then he's coming forward to pick up the girl for the promenade.
Yeah. From a standard, if they did a circulate and a stop, I would agree with you 100%. This one is, they're promenading, and where you're going to do it is, that would be called as they're going around the corner. Right. Not leading in, but going around the corner.
I also like it if you have roll the girl away, roll the boy away into a promenade. I've got common routines which I use mostly after chain down the line. Love it.
And love that one where you roll away, whether you do it once or twice, and swing the one you rolled in promenade. That's been used a lot.
Well,
not exactly smooth. Not exactly smooth, but it's funny.
We have digressed a bit from where the theme was, but there has been some really, really good choreography coming out. I'm going to clean up this a bit, and I'll send it to Mark. And there probably won't be a video on this session unless the initial part is recorded. Let's just stop this share and see. Hang on. Oh, I guess we are recording still. Look at that.
Yeah, I recorded from the start, Mel.
Okay, how do you stop recording here?
Don't worry about it. We're not doing things that